Hello lovely people and welcome back to my channel. A couple of days ago I posted a look on Instagram, and it's actually the look that I was also wearing in my previous video, which is the Project Pan finale. And a lot of you so kindly complimented my look and said that you really enjoyed it and you would like to see a tutorial or a get ready with me kind of video, so I was like, yeah, you got it. If there's something I enjoy about my YouTube channel, it's putting on makeup together with you. So that is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to chat a little bit about the makeup itself while I do it, and I'm also going to chat about random things, just, you know, to hang out with you. I'm going to prime my eyes with the 24-hour extend eye base from MAC. So I'm going to recreate the look as I did it on my Instagram, but I'm only going to do the exact same look on one of my eyes, and on the other eye I'm going to switch it up slightly because I just want to try something different, and I will explain why when we get to that point. So I'm going to do my brows by first filling them a little bit in towards the tail with a brow powder. The only reason I started doing that instead of only using my favorite brow mascara from L'Oreal is that I have all these brow products, and especially like this powder from ABH that I would actually like to finish up. Given how much I have, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon, but I would rather try to use as much of it as possible than toss it and never use it. And I think my brows could do with a little bit of filling towards the tail, so that's something I've been doing lately, just to, you know, go through this product a bit more before I part with it. I do still very much enjoy that L'Oreal Brow Artist Plumper though. I might try some alternatives for it eventually, but for now I'm quite happy with it. It's a very affordable drugstore product. Unless they discontinue it or change the formula or something, I don't think I'm going to be switching up to something else. I did try the ABH one. A friend of mine lent me hers to try it, and the ABH one is much more intense and it dries out quite fast from what I heard. I've been thinking recently, and I'm curious what you guys think about it. Are you guys someone who prefers like pre-made, pre-curated palettes, or do you prefer singles that you can arrange in your own palettes? I think a fantasy self of mine really enjoys to buy single shades and arrange them in her own palette arrangements and get creative and like dupe things, but my reality self has actually come to the conclusion that she doesn't really like that. I've tried making my own palettes a couple of times. I even posted a video when I tried to make like my own fall inspired palette. I made that palette, I used it twice, and that was about it, and then I dismantled it and put all the eyeshadows back where they belong, because it was also really bothering me that they are not where they belong. And where they belong in my book is back with their brand. I like to arrange my single eyeshadows by brand, not by color, not by finish. I like to stick by brand. That's just how my OCD brain works. And I just never used that palette. It was fine, it was a beautiful color story, something that I truly enjoyed, and I would have enjoyed if it was maybe released by a brand, but for some reason I never reached for it. And I think there are several reasons for that. One of the reasons I don't think I enjoy like these self-made kind of palettes is that visually they are not as attractive as a pre-curated palette with the packaging, with the whole experience of, you know, something that has been manufactured in terms of just the packaging that it comes in. Let's get back into the makeup. We're going to go in like a bunch of different like eyeshadow palettes today. I'm sorry about that, but it's just the way it is because I used different kinds of products for the original look and I'm just going to recreate it. The first palette I'm going to go into is the Midnight Sun palette from Pat McGrath, where I'm first going to dip into this shade, the transition sort of camel brown, and then I'm going to deepen up with this gorgeous, deep, cool-toned brown shade. As I was saying, as much as I enjoy the idea of being able to curate, you know, color stories myself, I think that because of my internal preferences for certain color combinations, for certain colors, the fact that I'm of course limited in terms of textures and colors to what I have in my own collection, and also you have to have like the time to go through the trouble of doing that every now and then, and I just don't think I do. I don't think I'm one of those people who has the time or the energy or feels like they can escape the restrictions and limitations of their own mind. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think that I'm a non-creative person when it comes to combining colors. On the contrary, I think I could probably come up with pretty decent color stories. but I also think that subconsciously I will always go for very similar things, and I will end up making palettes that are very similar to each other, and I will never make something that is unexpected, something that is not me. And that is what I really enjoy about pre-curated palettes, that sometimes the way that an artist or another makeup lover or a brand puts colors, textures, you know, and just how they position them in the palette is not something that I would ever come up with. I know that a lot of you are people who collect single eyeshadows or depot eyeshadows and put them in magnetic palettes. How do you feel about that whole process of curating your own color story? And by the way, that whole like thought process and train of thought occurred because of the Love palette from Natasha Denona. I really like that palette. I really enjoy the way she has combined the colors over there. I'm going to, by the way, just quickly brow bone my highlight my brow bone with this Inglot shade over here, which I've had for an eternity. I'm going to work on panning it this year, just like I did So Goes My Nation last year for Notoriously Morbid. I watched the Instagram live when she was showing swatches of the different eyeshadows, and she was also explaining the different textures. And I do really enjoy the fact that she has put so many different textures, including that cream to powder formula that she has that I've never tried. And I'm just super curious about that palette. For now, I'm not going to get it. It's only available to me as of now through Sephora France. Next week it will be much more widely available once it comes on to Feel Unique and Selfridges, and then I will really have to fight the magpie demons, to quote Mia. So I'm not sure I'm gonna succeed. I might cave and buy it. I might still convince myself out of it in the meantime, because color story wise I'm not sure that this is a palette that really has a lot of use for me. But at the same time I do really like the combination of the colors and the textures, and that's how that whole train of thought about pre-curated versus single eyeshadows that you curate yourself started in the first place. Okay, now I'm going to try to pull out that dark shade just slightly like this, like a cat eye, because I've been super not into winged liner lately. I went from someone who absolutely cannot do a look without a winged liner to someone who hasn't done winged liner on the regular for over a year. I don't know what happened to me. Just going through a non-winged liner phase, I guess. But I'm going to deepen up quite a bit with this shade. I really love the tone of this shade. On to a different topic. A lot of you seem to be quite interested in my baking adventures, since I mentioned those in my Pat McGrath Mini Matte Trance lipstick demo video. I am probably going to do a separate video where I take you along with me when I bake something, but I thought for the purpose of this video today, I don't want to mix in the baking, the actual like baking footage together with the makeup for those of you who are just interested in the makeup. For those of you who like to see the baking process, I'll just do a little vlog video. Well, that was a really convoluted explanation for something that you probably didn't give a shit about. Before we move on to the baking though, let me tell you, the star of this eyeshadow look is actually an eyeshadow that I spoke about recently in my Cool Neutrals Week video, which I can link up here for you if you want to check it out. This is the shade Divine Mink from Pat McGrath. I love this shade. It's one of the most unique eyeshadows in my collection. It's a beautiful cool tone smoky brown with like almost like stale blue undertones to it. I don't know how else to explain it. Looks like this. I absolutely love this shade. And this is going to be the star of the show. This is the shadow that goes all over the lid. Before I put it on my lid though, I'm going to put Pixie Epoxy from Firini, which is a glitter glue. So I picked up baking quite many years ago when I was finishing my PhD, and I don't really know, for whatever reason I was like going to bake a cake for Valentine's Day or something, I don't even remember. And one of my good friends in Bulgaria has a cooking blog. I can definitely link her blog in the description box below, but be warned, it's in Bulgarian, so you will either have to translate it or, you know, don't visit it. But if you're curious, I can link that for you. So she had all of these like super interesting recipes. I'm going in with my fingers as usual. And I really got into like baking cakes and experimenting. And the thing I liked the most about it is that baking almost feels like you are doing an experiment at the lab, like you're following a protocol. Sometimes you can like switch up the protocol depending on your needs, and sometimes you have to really stick to the protocol to the smallest detail, because otherwise you're gonna fuck it up. A typical example of something that you really have to follow the protocol to the T for, in my experience, is French macarons. Those little deceiving motherfuckers. They're so deceivingly easy to make, and yet you can go wrong at every single step. French macarons are a real testament to your patience and to your desire to persevere, because you are likely to get them wrong at least 10 times before you get them right, and even when you get them right, you might try it again and still get them wrong. Trying to nail French macarons, trust me, becomes a real obsession once you start. Let's go back into the makeup. Now for one of my eyes, I am going to go into the Enchanted Secrets palette from Linde Hallberg, and I'm going to go into this shade here, which is called Orphic. It's a beautiful, like, deep, I want to say purpley base with blue sparkles to it. And the reason I really like to combine this with this eyeshadow is because I feel like this eyeshadow was made for like glitter toppers with a blue sheen to them. Like, I think it would take a lot of other types of glitter toppers, but blue especially. So I'm going to go into Orphic, and I'm just going to start stamping it all over my lids. And I'm only going to do that on one of my eyes, because on the other one I want to do something different. Now you could potentially stop here and not put another glitter topper, which I'm going to do, but because in that look I actually had the other glitter topper too, I'm going to stick to that. And I'm going to add this one here from the Midnight Sun palette, because I had it in the original look as well. And this is just going to add a bit of like silveriness to the sheen as well, and I'll concentrate this a little bit more towards the center of the lid. You kind of get this very ethereal, like silvery blue sheen, and I really love it. Then for my inner corner, I'm going to go into my Paleo palette from Cliona Cosmetics, a palette that I certainly don't use often enough. And I'm going to take... well, that happened. I'm gonna go clean up the mess, I'll be back. So I'm back. This is what I have left of this matte shade over here. There's still a little bit left in the pan, which we'll have to do. I go to this palette mostly for the shimmers anyway. But anyway, that was an unexpected turn of events. I'm going to go into this beautiful metallic baby blue, and I'm going to pop that in inner corner to play up on the blue shimmer that I put on the lid. This looks so beautiful and brightening in the inner corner. I love it. I don't know if I would wear it necessarily a lot as a lid shade, but I think it makes a gorgeous inner corner. Before I move on to the lower lash line, because that's going to be the same for both eyes, I want to finish off this eye, where I want to play up a bit more with like a green topper shade. And that's the thing I really like about Divine Mink. I think Divine Mink is one of those shades that is so incredibly versatile, in the sense that you can use it as a one and done shade on your lid. You can use it on its own, because on its own is also really beautiful and has like really pretty undertones to it as it is. You can put a variety of different toppers on it to change up a little bit the shift that it has. So I'm pretty sure you can put silver, you can put blue, you can put green, you can put purple, you can put like something with like a pink sparkle to it, and it would look gorgeous as well. Honestly, this is such a versatile, beautiful shade. I'm so happy that I have it. Like I said, I want to play up a bit more with the greens, so I'm going to grab Sugar Pill Lumi, which is a super old shade from Sugar Pill. It comes in a loose form, and I'm just going to take the tiniest bit of that and try to not over apply too much of it on the lid, and see how that works out. Ooh, that's already quite a lot. Let me try to work that in just using my fingers, because I don't want to lose the undertone of Divine Mink. If you have like a more glittery type of eyeshadow that has like real green sparkle to it, that would probably make a better topper. I searched through my collection, but I couldn't really find anything. So I'm going to take just the tiniest bit of that Astral shade from Pat McGrath and pop that on the center here as well, just to have more like a silvery green on one side and a silvery blue on the other side. And the mint green that I think would look really bomb with this look is from my Deuce palette from Juvia's Place, and this is this shade here. It's a beautiful cool toned mint. Also looks really brightening in the inner corner. I've used that shade quite a lot. Ah, so nice. Okay, so to finish off my lower lash line, I'm going back into Midnight Sun and I'm going to take this dark shade again, just here on like the very outer edge of my eye. And then I'm going to take this Kiko eyeshadow stick in the number, I want to say 16, which is a beautiful dark purple. And I'm going to pop that on my waterline. And as a final touch, I'm going to grab this topper shade from Midnight Sun, which is a gorgeous cool toned purple, and finish off the look with the lower lash line. Okay, and we are done with the eye look, so I'm just going to continue now doing my face. I am going to go into my Pat McGrath Sublime Perfection foundation. Now is the time of the year for me to use it, because otherwise this shade is way too light for me. And we can continue chatting about baking. So for those of you guys, because I heard a lot of you are also into baking, don't forget to leave me your most useful tip, the thing that has surprised you the most. You never know where a useful tip is going to come from, so please leave yours. Let us know if you have like a cooking or a baking tip that you have picked up over the years. Like I said, French macarons, my eternal enemy. I have made them like pretty okay on a few occasions, but I haven't really tried making them in the new house. I only tried once, I failed miserably, and I realized that I have to figure out my oven all over again, because once you're done with the whole other ordeal of like beating your meringue to just the right consistency, and then mixing in the dry ingredients with your meringue without overbeating it or underbeating it, piping it out properly, leaving it to rest enough time. After you've overcome all of these other difficulties, everything might still go down once you put shit in the oven, if your oven doesn't reach the correct temperature. I have recently purchased a kitchen thermometer, and I intend to try making French macarons with Italian meringue, because it seems like Italian meringue, although it's a bit more work and you need to have a kitchen thermometer to measure your sugar mix, eventually it results in a more stable meringue that is not as sensitive as the French meringue. I know I sound like a pro baker when I talk about French meringue and Italian meringue, but it's just been something that I've been looking into because I've been watching like so many baking videos lately. Okay, you guys, Hubs came home and I sort of finished my makeup while chatting with him. I'm sorry about that. But that pretty much finishes my ramblings about baking. Let's go back to the makeup. I finished off with the lipstick that I was also wearing in the video. In the video I also had a gloss. I skipped the gloss today. And the lipstick that I'm wearing is She's Heaven from Pat McGrath. Honestly, it can be any sort of neutral color that you have. Okay, so here you have a close-up of the blue eye. You can see the silvery and the blue sparkles. I hope my camera is focusing properly. And here you have a close-up of the green eye. I think the sparkle could definitely turn out better if I had put something that's a little bit more like glittery in terms of like the green glitter. Before I finish off this rambly chatty get ready with me, I just wanted to give you one more tip. If you don't have like all of these other palettes and things that I used in this video, but you happen to have the Subliminal palette from Pat McGrath and you do have this shade, the Divine Mink shade, the Subliminal palette also pairs beautifully with Divine Mink, because especially like that topper shade, which has more like blue greenish shift on it, works really well with this shade as well. Maybe it would have worked really well with this look. I just didn't remember it on time. I just kind of thought of it later. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this chatty get ready with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!